Hi, welcome to Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, text number 40. I had stopped in the meaning, that is, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Now coming to the purport of it. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:5-17. It is first canto, 5th chapter, 17th text. Sri Narada Muni instructs Vyasadeva as follows. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. For material prospects, there are many activities. I repeat again, if someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such a perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one who once so engaged will continue to be so even if he is born if he is low born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratifications without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified among the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. Next para. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely the followers of scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity. Number 2, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence. Number 3, those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures. For material happiness may be further divided into two classes. Those who are fruitive workers and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after fruitive results for sense gratification may be elevated to a higher standard of life, even to the higher planets, but still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. Any activity, the only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress in the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. And no one who is trying his best in this matter need fear degradation. Text number 41. प्राप्य पुण्यकृता लोकानुषित्वा शाश्वतीः समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टो अभिजायते. Prapya means after achieving. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities. I repeat, the unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Now elaborate meaning. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi falls after a short period of practice. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana or Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed, by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Text number 42. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतर लोके जन्म यदीदृशम्. दुर्लभतरम. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, He takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such birth is rare in this world. Full explanation. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master Om Vishnupada Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja and our humble self. Who is this humble self? Srila Prabhupada had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord. Both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. Number 43. Tatram tam buddhi samyogam labade paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddhau kurunandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. Full meaning: King Bharata, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharata was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharatavarsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavrita-varsha. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jada-bharata because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King